What's up, y'all? So if you've been thinking about starting a podcast and you have no idea where to start, or you've been researching about starting your own show and ended up in a rabbit hole of information from the internet, now you can keep putting it off because you don't know where to start. You know, you're like, okay, this is too much information. I'll start again tomorrow. I'll start again next week. Well, I have a free webinar tomorrow to teach you how to launch your podcast in 30 days. I'm going to show you how I grew my show to over 300,000 downloads in a little over a year. The link is going to be in the description of the show, and I hope to see you there to give you all the information. Also, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/shit-I'm30. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. I've been a longtime customer and fan of Audible. I tell you guys this every week. I went into great detail, I think last week, about the 5 love languages of teenagers. But this week, I'm listening to Talking with Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm also has a podcast himself, so the book actually sounds like a podcast, which is amazing, and is narrated by him also. So check it out for free. You know, I'm not going to steer you in the wrong direction. So go to audibletrial.com/shit-I'm30 and you can get any book you want for free, and it will forever be yours. Now let's get started with the show. Welcome to the Shit I'm 30 podcast. This is the weekly show where we discuss and share our unfiltered opinions on topics such as mental health, relationships. Sometimes it gets a little kinky and we talk about sex, parenting, and so much more. With me, your host, Carla Wilmaris. Now, my goal is to get rid of society's expectations about where we should be when we're in our 30s and just free ourselves to live the lives that we've always dreamed of. Now, friends, remember, it is never too late. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host. If this is your first time, welcome to my shitty little podcast. And for my tribe that come back every single week, hey friends, how are you? This week is just going to be me. It is a solo episode, and I want to talk to you guys, about what I've gone through in the last decade, lessons that I've learned. I have some story for y'all. I like storytelling. Like, I love telling you guys stories of my life and things that I've gone through, just because I feel like there's always someone out there that can understand what I've been through, or maybe relate, or I can just entertain you with, the craziness that I go to, because sometimes it doesn't even feel real. But before we get started, I want to start with our Shit You Should Know segment, which is something that I usually find online, an article. I'm obsessed with reading the news, which actually my therapist told me that I needed to stop doing. So I'm doing less and less of waking up, reading the news, and going to sleep. It's actually helped so much with my anxiety, but I still like to look and see what's going on. So I saw a report. It's actually from New York. A mother was awarded $625,000 settlement after cops snatched her baby from her arms. And I was like, what? Who snatched who and for what? So I looked it up and to see what was going on. And I saw Madame Noir, I think it is. And it's a couple other ones, but I like the one from this one. Basically, it says that the NYPD officer tore a 1-year-old son from her mother's arms. Her name is Jasmine Headley. In New York City, while she was in a New York City public assistance office. It was filmed by some people that were already there. And basically she was waiting for, I'm not sure, food stamp, public assistance. I'm not sure what it was. And they told her that she could not sit on the floor. She was there to ask about suspended benefits. She had been in the office for about 4 hours. She had her baby in her arms. So she attempted to leave after the officers arrived, but one of the officers grabbed her arm and they fell to the floor. So she starts screaming like, "You're hurting my son." Like, her baby is in her arms. I'm going to post the video so you guys can see it. And she's screaming, "You're hurting my son, hurting my son." And they arrested her and charged her. I don't even know what they charged her with, but she received a public apology from the New York City mayor, Bill de Blasio. He said he wanted to apologize on behalf of all 8.4 million New Yorkers. He said that what happened to her and her son should never have happened. Of course, I think this is what happens every single time these cops take their abuse their power. And then it's like, oh, sorry, this should have never happened. Like, who are these cops? Who thinks it's okay to grab this baby? The way they were slamming her in this video was disgusting. But again, we're living in a social media era where we see everything, and I'm sure this has been going on, and we know this has been going on for years and decades, but now we're seeing it all the time. And to see a mother holding her baby, like me being a mother, or you, if you don't have a kid, you have a niece or a nephew, or a friend's child, like imagine holding them and then just slamming you, a cop, for sitting on the floor while trying to get like public assistance. Like what? So basically, she was saying that the incident was not just about her, but, the dignity of people that are there. You're already going with your guard down. You're already ashamed in a way, because I've gone to offices to get public assistance. When I first had Ayana, I would take Ayana with me, and I was 17, 18 years old, and I needed assistance, and I was going in there, and it was humiliating. I'm like, I need help. I was there for help. And then people that are appointed into law, they come in and instead of helping you, instead of, feeling for you and what you're going through, they just abuse their power. So if you want to go look into this, you can look at Madame Noir. I'm going to post it on the Shut I'm 30 podcast page of the video as well, and you can see it there. But I just thought it was disgusting, and that was one thing that stuck in my mind when I read this article about this girl, Jasmine. But yeah, let's get started with the show. That just, it was disgusting. So this week, I basically want to tell you guys that we survived another decade. I was going to say but we survived another decade. You guys are here right along with me. If you're almost in your 30s or you are in your 30s, this is our third decade. Holy crap. It's crazy. But before I take a look at what this last one has done for me, I want to say that I am feeling grateful to be able to record this and say that I've been around this long. I want to start off with gratitude, because it seems like every day we hear about another soul that we've lost, and it sucks to start over this way, but I don't know if anything of these losses that we keep seeing have anything to do with us being 30. It seems like more and more people that we know are they're passing away. We're constantly on social media, and every time I scroll, I see another RIP, and I sit back yet again, and I'm like, thank you, God, that I'm still here, Today, I want to recap this last decade, because it's been one hell of a roller coaster, and you guys have been here with me for 90 some odd episodes, some of y'all, and you've seen my growth. But I look back and think of who Carla was in 2010, and I wish I can go back and give her a hug and tell her that everything was going to be okay, like during all those really rough times. Like 10 years is a long time, and 30 even longer. 32, whoa, I am old. But I learned some valuable lessons this decade, and for me, the most important one was to slow down when needed, but also to keep it moving. So slow down doesn't mean stop. Slow down means just slow down, just like it says. So like I said, if you follow me on social media, you're going to see that I posted something that says I did a thing this weekend. And what is that thing that I was talking about? Well, if you're a Patreon, you already know. So my Patreon community, if you don't know what it is, I post memoirs and bonus episodes on there. And I get to open up a little bit more about what I go through. But I told you guys, I wrote on there on the way, what I was going through and feeling. But if you are new here and you don't know much about me, I grew up in the church. I very much fear God, and I'm a believer, but I lost my way a few years ago. Actually, it was more than a few years ago. I felt pushed away from the church when I had my daughter. Then I went back at the beginning of the decade when I decided I wanted to separate from my husband, which is also my daughter's father. And again, I was made to feel ashamed. I was told that I needed to stay married and basically endure being unhappy. Now, if you know me, you know that I am not one to stay comfortable or stagnant. There's times that, yes, I'm stuck just like everybody else, and it feels like I'm drowning and can't move, but I can't stay there forever. I'd rather be happy and feel free. And most of the time, I couldn't care what anyone else has to say. And that's a big most in all caps, because there are times that it does get to me, but I usually don't care what anyone else has to say. I just want to be happy. That being said, I left my marriage, and with that, I left the church as well. So I'm going to take you back to the story from 2010 until now. So there are so many times I wanted to go back. I yearned literally for the word. I wanted that faith to be restored in me, but I knew that I wasn't walking the right path. So before I get to this weekend, let me give you a rundown of my dating life for the past 10 years. This is going to be really interesting. So I started dating again after I left my husband. Okay, let's go through some of these relationships. Right after my husband, I met this guy. He was a barback at a restaurant. Lord, this should have been a sign, but no. I started dating him and I just wanted to feel protected. He was crazy as hell, y'all. Like crazy. Because I had gotten into a fight with my parents. I left the family business, the pawn shop, and I overlooked the fact that Jesus, he was ugly. Oh my God, I was clearly going through some shit. That man was ugly. He didn't have a car, so he would use my car. Then he moved into my house. I mean, it was like red flag, red flag, red flag all over the place. I was working in the nightclubs then, so I had money. I took him on vacation. Carla, what the fuck were you thinking? Clearly, I wasn't. Then I met someone else about a year and a half in, and I fell in love, and I wanted this guy gone. I'm like, you've got to get out of here. I've been trying to get him out, but like I said, he was crazy as hell, and he didn't want to leave. So one day he finds out that I'm talking to somebody else. Actually, if I think back, I think I told him, I was like, listen, I'm talking to somebody else. Like, I really want you gone. And when I told him this, when he found this out, this man robbed me, cleared out my house. I've told the story before. He took everything. Paper towels, Mac computers, my daughter's Wii and PS3. He took cereal. He took it all. Whatever. He was gone. Never saw him again. Oh, he took my gun. He took my my ring from when I was married, my diamond ring. Lord, he came up, but whatever. He's gone. Now, this is around 2011, 2012, and I start dating the man that I thought I was going to marry. I'm like, this is the love of my life. It's great. We're best friends. Then boom, I found out that he's married, but of course he says he's not going well, etc., etc. Actually, there's going to be more on this story soon because I actually sat down with his wife recently and we had a great conversation about that entire situation. So you're going to get a rundown of, the married relationship that I had. Well, the relationship with a married man. I will sit with his wife. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, we talk about how we both found out, how he felt, how it all came about that we sat down, all of that. Anyway, so now it's 2013. This is over. Like, she finds out, we break up. That relationship is over, and I needed a rebound. So I used a little basketball player Mandy introduced me to, of course, as my rebound for a few months. It was cool. I had fun, traveled, did this and that, but it wasn't the lifestyle for me. It just wasn't. Plus, he had 5 kids and 5 different baby mamas. No, get me out of here. I'm gone. Bye. This is not for me. So then I started dating my last boyfriend, which was a long-term relationship, 6 years with that guy I was. I shouldn't say that guy. That sounds so bad. So I was with my ex for 6 years, and I started dating him in 2013 after I left, the basketball player. Now, there were many good times, but looking back in retrospect now, there were so many red flags there that wasn't the relationship for me. I won't name them all, but to loop this back to where I started, that relationship I was in, although it had great things and great times, most importantly, we didn't have the same beliefs. And I realized that without it, there wasn't any growth for me. I don't know how many of you guys are religious or spiritual in any way. And for me, it's Christianity, but it can be anything for you, whatever religion or whatever you believe in a higher power. If you're in a situation where one of you believes and the other one doesn't, where does that leave you? Like, where does that leave your future? I didn't have an environment at home where I could share these concerns because we were split literally on everything. I don't know how it lasted that long. But now I've been out of that relationship and I've been able to reflect on my own. I've prayed endlessly for a very, very long time for a man that understands me and is affectionate and a million other things that I prayed for. But my number one was for God to send me a God-fearing man. If nothing else, let him be a believer, because I knew that if I had that base, we could grow from it. Well, he sent me just that. If you guys have listened to our episodes or know anything about him, that is exactly who he is. After I took my time and I had my tragic summertime hoe phase, I found my person. He was in front of me the entire time. I had no idea for such a long time that he would be it. But you know what they say, God works in mysterious ways. And he sent me something packaged in a way that I never would have imagined. This man has told me to go to church and talk to me about it for well over a year. And I heard him, but this is something that you can only do when you're ready. Like, someone can't force you to go to church, or they can't force you to have faith in something until you're ready. So yesterday, Sunday the 15th, I took him to the airport. He was here for the weekend. It was really, really early in the morning, and I came back home and went to sleep. I really wasn't feeling well, and I wanted to take a nap before I got my Sunday started. On the way to the airport, I told him that I was thinking about going to church, and the service was at 9 a.m. I was serious, too. I was going to go to that 9 a.m. service. I woke up, and shit. It was not 10:15, I mean. And I'm like, well, I missed the service. I've been wanting to go to the specific church actually for about a year, but I just haven't been ready. I didn't want this. First of all, I didn't want the church to burn down when I walked in. And I knew that when this heathen, me, walked in, it was over. Like, whoa. So I rolled over and I was going to go back to sleep. I'm like, you know what? I missed it another Sunday, another opportunity. And I rolled over on my phone and looked at my Instagram and looked up their Instagram. And it said that they had an 11 a.m. service. So, y'all, I literally jumped up out the bed. I called Diana over to my room and I was like, baby girl, like, I'm thinking in my head, we've been at war. Let me talk to her nicely. I'm like, hey, do you want to go to church? What do you think? There's this cool church. I think we both are going to enjoy it. But we literally had to be ready in like 10 minutes. Well, here she comes with all the excuses in the world. But my hair, what am I supposed to do with it? I'm like, well, just go ahead and put it in a bun. Yeah, I really don't want to go anywhere. Okay, I get you don't want to go anywhere, but baby girl, it's church. It's a new one. I think it'll be cool. Here she's like, actually, I just want to watch Netflix. I just look at her and I'm breathing because at this point it's like, breathe, Carla. Then she looks at me. She's like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I like the church that I go to with my uncle. I don't think I want to go to that one. Y'all, then the devil said he was going to try and stop me that day. And this girl looks at me and rolled her damn eyes. And I was like, did you just roll your eyes at me? Not today, Satan. Not today. I yanked her little ass. Well, she's not that little. And I was like, get dressed now. You need Jesus. I need Jesus. Girl, we need Jesus. Get dressed. So I didn't even shower. I literally washed my face, brushed my teeth, put my hair up in a ponytail, and I walked out the house. I found these big sunglasses in the car and I threw them on. And actually, is it just me or do you feel like invisible when you put on these big old shades? Like, yep, I'm a hot mess under here. But when I put these magic shades on, it's like you can't see me. Anyway, the ride to the church was a scary one. I told y'all, like, really, I thought this church was going to burn down. Then I was just annoyed with Ayana and she didn't want to talk to me, but I wasn't just going to stay quiet. I had to give her, another pep talk because I can't just stay quiet. You piss me off, little girl. So I give her the pep talk that I always give her, and that's all about growth. Like, I hate to see my baby girl, stagnant or unmotivated. Is that the word? Not motivated, whatever. She's not motivated. Every day I want to grow. Every day I want to become better at something. Every day I want to accomplish even the smallest goals so I can check them off and I can feel, good about myself that day. And this is what I literally preach to her all the time. But it seems like it goes in one ear and out the next. So we pull up to the church now. After I give her this whole speech and she's not looking at me, looking out the window like she doesn't care. And there's a sign that says VIP, new visitors come and park this way. And I'm like, oh, hell no. What do you mean VIP? I mean, VIP sounds good, but then I have to be, where does this take me? What are they going to say to me? I'm not ready for all that. I just want to, no, I'm going to go the other way. So I started going the other way. I wanted to blend in. I didn't want to attract any attention. And remember, I'm wearing my magic shade so no one can see me. I don't want anyone to know at this point that when this church lights up in flames, that it was me. But I sat in the discomfort and turned towards the VIP section. As much as I didn't want to be seen, I also kind of liked the part that we can, park up close. So that was a plus. But in my discomfort, I went over that way. And I'm thinking maybe it's just a parking spot over there. And then I just walk in, right? They'll just see my car. Maybe they'll put a flyer on my car. Nope. This guy stops me and he's like super smiley, like, hey, is this your first time? I immediately know, like, first of all, nope, I can't do this again. They're really friendly, and I would feel so bad if I scammed them for a closer parking space again. Because I don't know about y'all, but the expectant mother parkings at the mall and everywhere else, I park there. It's not actually a legal thing to have expectant mother parking spaces. So, I never know if I'm expecting, so I park there. Anywho, I won't do it at church. But this guy is like super nice, and it's like, it's your first time, and I'm thinking like, crap. Yes, it is. Hi. So he tells me where to go park and where to get some information. I was like, all right, thank you. So I went into the church, and while I'm trying not to be seen, I walk, like I keep my shades on. I walk in and I try to find a seat with Ayana, and shout out to Nana. She's a podcast listener, and she was actually a student of the Idea to Launch intensive course. I see from like my peripheral someone walking quite briskly towards me. And I turn around like, damn, who I got to punch in the church? Like, I'm going to get a fight in here. Like, what's going on? But it was a her, and she's like, hey, girl. So it was really nice to meet you. I was literally on edge. I didn't know what was going on, but she said hi, and I was on edge. My anxiety was literally on 1,000. I was happy to be there deep inside, but I knew that I just made a commitment that I can't take back. So the service was amazing. The pastor was funny. He was relatable like I thought he would be. And Ayana enjoyed the entire service. Even though a few hours ago she didn't want to come, she was laughing. There were certain things that she was like, oh, I wish Wax was here. That's funny. Like, it was great. Like, I was able to, do the worship with her. I'm a water bag. And I always knew that if I went to church, I would be moved, because the day that I went back, it's the day that I want to take it serious again. And not saying that I'm going to be any type of preacher or Bible thumper, because that's not me. But it's a relationship within myself, within me, that I needed to change certain things. So I knew the day that I did that, it was going to be me taking it serious. So basically, we're all here. No one died. The church didn't burn down. And the message was all about keeping it moving and growth. Like, that's the crazy part. The message was about growth. This is the exact conversation I was having with Ayana on the way to church. The pastor is literally right in front of us saying the exact same thing. Well, actually, his words were a lot nicer than the ones that I had for her, but you get the point. I have a few notes from the sermon, and then I want to go into 4 lessons that I learned over the past decade. Excuse me. First, he talked about being planted versus being stagnant. When you're stagnant, you are staying in a season that you can't grow from. You're staying in a stage of your life that now you need water, you need sun, you need winter. You can't grow because you're literally just staying there and everything else is passing by you. When I thought of doing the same, when he says this, I thought of doing the same thing over and over again and thought of insanity. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I know we've all been there, or might even be there right now. Then he explained being planted. Now, I don't have a green thumb, but about 8 months ago with my friend Caddy, I went to IKEA and we bought all these different plants for my house. The plants are planted. They don't move, but they grow. As long as I have water, or as long as I water them and cut off those dead branches, they keep growing. Like, there's new branches coming up all the time. Some get greener, then some get brown, and they die. You cut them off and the plant keeps growing, right? So we overstay our season or a stage in our lives because we are comfortable in that space. It's familiar. And why move when we have it all figured out right here? Like, you are the best of the best in that stage and that place. So why would you go anywhere else? So this decade, I want to keep growing and I want to keep expanding myself, cutting off those dead branches that no longer serve me. Now, to do all of this, there will be pain. And this is a part that I don't like, but pain is inevitable. We will go through growing pains. Remember when our kids, or you as a kid, were growing and your limbs would hurt? Like, Ayana went through a growth spurt one time. I remember very vividly. It was so painful. I felt so bad. There was nothing I could do, but she had to endure that pain to grow and go to the next stage. The pain that we experience through our journeys, we can do 2 things with. We can stand still and not move and let the pain paralyze us, or you can take that pain and let it push you and catapult you to the next stage or the next level of your life. This decade, the first and my most important lesson that I learned was actually through pain. In 2016, was the first most painful moment that I experienced this decade. Boy, y'all know that the pain for me of losing my father is still a huge one and a huge void in my life. But I learned from that experience that this world and life does not stop or slow down for no one. I mean, Papi was the shit. Loved by so many. He had a voice that mattered. But do you think this world stopped even for a second? I mean, I get it. I'm sure in my mind he was way bigger than what he really was. But then I look like people like Michael Jackson, who died right before this decade. I think it was June '09. Or Nipsey Hussle, Prince, who passed away actually a few months before him, April 2016. Or even the massacre at Pulse here in Orlando, where a gunman killed 49 people in a club. None of this stopped the world. It rocked mine, but everything around me kept going. And from that moment, I learned how strong emotionally I was, and that even in the greatest pain of all, it could not stop me because I wasn't going to allow it. So pain will come and you will choose if it will stop you or not. And for me, it was a death. It can be a breakup. It can be losing a job, which actually also happened to me in 2014. I was laid off and I wasn't paid for 4 weeks of work. And I was going on vacation the next week. Like, it was crazy. That's all these painful moments that we have, but we choose to keep going or stand still and let that pain paralyze us. So pain was the first lesson, and moving on from it that I had this year that I wanted to speak of. Now, the next lesson that I want to talk about that I learned this decade for myself was to put myself first. I was pouring to everyone else for so long from an empty cup. I was a people pleaser, doing everything for others on demand, even when I was tired and I really didn't want to. I noticed that everyone else had no problem telling me no, yet I was there ready to help and take over at the drop of a dime. Like, you can call me at any moment. Carla, I need this. Carla, I need you. And I was there. And then sometimes I will call people and they're like, I'm busy, or no, I can't do that right now, or my schedule is like this. I remember so many instances when I needed certain people and they just weren't there for me. But when they needed me, I was there. It took for me to separate from certain toxic family members and friends to realize that I really wasn't breathing. I was taking like little short breaths, but I needed a deep breath. So, when you're like sitting there, you're out of breath and you're just taking short breaths, like you still feel like you aren't breathing, but I needed that that deep breath. I finished my degree and I said, well, this ain't even what I want, because I was doing it for somebody else. Really, I was getting my degree to please others. So I started trying to figure out while working what my passion was, because I've been such a people pleaser all my life and living in a way that society expected me to, that I didn't even know what my passion was. So I started to figure that out. And then, and only then, when I put myself first, I found me. I found out what Carla likes, what she doesn't like, what she will accept, what she ain't gonna tolerate. I was able to let go of a relationship that didn't allow me to grow. And I found a different type of love now. I found a way to create a business and work for me the way that I always envisioned. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. So putting myself first has allowed me to close this decade feeling like I'm actually finally filling up that cup that I will use soon to pour onto others that are close to me. And even those of you guys out there, I'm already starting to, there's so much knowledge that I have and so many ways that I was able to catapult myself to this level that I want to help people that were at my chapter 1 now that I'm at my chapter 10, So maybe one day I'll even do what Cardi did for Offset and put that 500,000 in the refrigerator. But since I ain't got that right now, Bay's gonna have to be happy with these 500 kisses that I'm gonna give him, and he better enjoy it. You hear me? Now, number 3, losing and outgrowing friends. It's something that was very prominent for me this past decade. It was one for me these last 10 years of change and evolution. I'm now 32, which means that I started this at 22, and let me tell you, at 22, I just got a boob job. I got in surgery and all my cancer was removed. I got divorced, etc., etc. I was changing by the year, like by the month, by the second, and some people just weren't meant to be around forever. They were only there for a season. And that is okay. I had to learn to let people go and not look back. I mentioned I'm a people pleaser, or I was, and I would sometimes chase friends and say sorry for shit that wasn't even my doing. Now, I won't say that I'm an angel, because this mouth of mine, I am very aware that it is an AK-47. And at times I accidentally pull the trigger without meaning to shoot. It is dangerous. I know this. I give opinions when they aren't even warranted. I piss people off, and sometimes I even hurt them. But that's not the part that I'm talking about here. I know when I'm wrong. It might take me sometimes a little bit, but I'm going to come around. I have no problem apologizing. I have no problem accepting my wrongs. But I'm talking about chasing people that were doing me wrong just because I wanted to please them. These 10 years, I've gained a lot of friends. I've also lost friends. I've been, well, to be clear and frank, betrayed by people that I considered extremely, extremely close friends. I reacted in really shitty ways to losing some friends, and I sent some long ass messages giving them a piece of my mind. Then there's also some that I've let go without a peep. I didn't say shit. I had no reason to react to what they did to me, to what they were saying, how they were acting. I decided to not. And that was a lot of growth for me. And that's the part that I truly recommend. Don't go giving somebody a peace of mind. It's not worth it. You're going to go down to their level for what? Just hush your mouth, write it down in a journal, how you really feel, what you really want to text, and let these people go. We have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because in that discomfort is where growth takes place. And that's where I've been growing. When I feel like I can't breathe, when I feel like I'm suffocating, when I know that I don't belong there anymore, I have grown. And then there's the next challenge. Once you get there, these growing pains never stop unless you decide that you don't want to grow anymore. Now, the last lesson of this decade I want to speak on is gratitude. Gratitude helps me focus on what I have, not what I have missing or what I want. Gratitude is a simple and powerful way that I've created an incredible way for positive energy. So I felt like I was on top of the world, then lost it all, then gained it all back, then lost it all again, then got it all back in abundance, and then decided to let it go myself, get rid of it. But the one thing that I finally learned was to be grateful for what I actually have. There's been times that I've literally sat here and I'm like, why can I have this? Why did I lose that? Why did he have to die? Why couldn't I get that position? Why can I sell this? Why am I not in their position? Looking from side to side. And I had to put my blinders on and say, girl, focus. I have to thank God every day for my health. Even on days when my blood pressure is sky high, on days when I have had just an awful panic attack, even on days when there's days when I remember saying, what the fuck, is that my bank account or Ayana's? It's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? I have to be grateful for the fact that even though it might be low or I might not be where I want to be, I have everything that I need. And most of the time, everything that I want as well. I'm just looking at myself, sometimes from where I was before to where I am now, but I have to be grateful of everything that I have, because I really have more. I'm just on a different level, on a different stage. So being grateful for the small things has opened doors for me I didn't even know existed. There have been times that I've just been grateful to be in a room with people, expecting nothing else, and I leave with a new work venture or a new opportunity. So waking up in the morning, I try to open my eyes and speak out loud a few things that I'm grateful for, even that morning or even that day. Now, trust me, I don't do this every single day. It's not like, oh, I'm so dedicated to this. There are days where I'm just a raging fucking bitch and I have an attitude out of this world. Today's actually one of those days. I literally screamed at my boyfriend like a fucking maniac. He literally looked at me and asked if I had Tourette's. What a fucking asshole. I wanted to kick his ass, but it brought me back to thinking that I needed to be grateful, because what I was screaming at him, it didn't even matter. It wasn't that big of a deal. And I immediately thank God, because I even had a phone with data to be able to scream at him. So it's like, come on, Carla, revert back to why you're screaming. Think about what you're grateful for and let that other shit go. I'm blessed to be even at war with my kid, because last night I woke up and she was asleep next to me, and I literally I started crying before I went back to sleep. I'm entering 2020 with a teenage daughter that's kicking my ass. But this new decade, I will be in charge of the largest job of my life, and that is sending my baby girl into this world to be an adult. I only have 3.5 more years, and I'll have a whole 18-year-old daughter. An adult. Well, a legal adult, because we all know that at 18, we still lack so much common sense. And I am praying for this girl, y'all. I am praying. I'm excited for more growth. And if I haven't told you all enough, I'm so grateful for each and every one of y'all's support. This platform, this podcast has allowed me to reach an insane amount of people. I wasn't famous before this. I don't talk about sex often, which is super extremely fun and entertainment. I'm not a millionaire guru either. Y'all have allowed me to live my dream by sharing my experience as a normal 30-something-year-old woman. I'm a mother, from my relationship to relationship, through my fights, through my happy moments, through my sad moments. So thank you. I am truly thankful for you. Now, before we go to our next segment, I want to let you guys know that tomorrow, Wednesday, December 18th, and Thursday, December 19th, I'll be doing a free webinar about how you can launch your own hit podcast in 30 days. And I want to bring this on now because, of course, I just told you guys that I'm super grateful for you. And I get questions literally on a daily basis about how to start a podcast. And I get it. Like, it can be very confusing. You go into this rabbit hole of information of Google where you have 1,000 different people telling you how to start it, what equipment you need, what media host you need, what your artwork is supposed to be like. Do you go to iTunes? Do you go to iHeart? How do you submit to all of this? How do you record? How do you get guests? How do you, after you launch, what do you do? How do you create social media marketing? There's all these questions that you have, and I want to show you how to do all this. So there's going to be a free webinar on how to launch your podcast in 30 days. Why right now is the perfect time to start a podcast. Yes, there are over 750,000 podcasts out there right now, but that does not matter because your story, your voice, your expertise still has an audience. We'll go over how to add your show on iTunes and all the rest of the podcast platforms, how to find your voice and stand out from the rest of the podcast, how you can build your audience and reach your first 1,000 downloads, and what to do, like I said, after you launch. Because after you launch, now what? How do you get everyone to keep coming in? You don't need 10,000 followers to start a podcast. You don't even have to have a social media presence. Really, like, I started with 1,500 followers and I'm pretty sure they were all bots. Like, I had a 9-to-5. I was an accountant before I quit. And trust me, I quit because I was unhappy. I found my passion and now I'm growing that passion from the ground up. But podcasting can definitely be to enhance your business. It can be to enhance what you already have going on, or it can be an outlet for you. For me, sometimes this podcast is like a spoken journal. So if you want to have the spoken journal to help someone else, like I said, if you're in your chapter 10 and they're in their chapter 1, you have an audience. There are people that are out there looking for someone to relate to. So I'll have the link to join the webinar on the notes of this podcast. Also, if you go to my Instagram, Carla Wilmaris, you hit the link in my bio and you can register there. So make sure you are registered and you meet me, get your wine ready. I'm going to be drinking wine while we're doing it. It'll be fun. It'll be like a live type of thing. And if you guys have joined my lives before, they're fun with my little 20 people. But no, I'm serious. Join me tomorrow and Thursday for the free webinar on how to launch your podcast in 30 days. Now, on to unsolicited advice. This is the segment where I give advice to people. Now, if you want me to give you advice, and write me a letter at shitim30podcast@gmail.com, and your letter might be the next one that I read. I give great advice. I am like an expert. You know what I'm saying? So this one says, my brother and sister-in-law were trying to have a baby using artificial insemination. A few months into the very difficult pregnancy, they were told the baby had many life-threatening defects and asked if they wanted to terminate because the baby had little, if any, chance of surviving. They chose to carry on with the baby and have a natural birth. A month or so before she was due, she went into labor. The baby lived only for a few hours. They had a funeral. It was extremely sad moments. A month later, on the due date, they started organizing a birthday party for their 10-year-old daughter and invited 30 to 40 people, young and old. They contacted my husband and I. I had been pregnant at the same time as her and gave birth to a baby girl 2 months later, or 2 months ago, I think is what she meant. And they asked us not to bring our newborn, but that other babies a year old or older were invited. How should we respond? Do I stay home with my baby? Do we all refuse the invitation? Is it even right to throw a party and unwelcome a newborn? Okay, so I've never, given birth to a child and lost one, so I don't know what that pain could be like. But because I can't understand it, neither can you. I think this is a pain that if you haven't been through it, you can't understand it. So my advice to you would be to respectfully say you understand, I'm sorry that you're going through it, but I get it. You don't understand, but you get it. You know what I mean? It's a 10-year-old birthday party. Like, who cares? Are you that pressed to go to a 10-year-old's birthday party? Respect the mother's feelings, how she feels. It was only a month ago. Send a gift. It's not the 10-year-old's fault, that this child passed away or that they had these issues with this pregnancy. Just stay home. Respectfully decline to come in. She's not your sister. It's your sister-in-law. Really, although the father, of course, is going through some pain, a mother, losing a child, you grew that baby in your womb. You were ready to expect this baby. You did all this work through artificial insemination and the baby's not here. I think the woman goes through a little bit more than a man does, not to demean the feelings of a father, but just let her go and respect her wishes. Don't criticize her to others is another thing that I wanted to let you know. Just give her space, stay your ass home, send that baby doll or whatever you're going to send to the little girl and keep it moving. Be there for her. Let her know whenever, maybe one day she does want to hold your baby. Maybe one day she's going to tell you, hey, I would love for you to come around. Be there for her because you have your baby girl. They don't have theirs. So that is how I would deal with her. I don't think she's doing it in a way to say, I don't want you here. It's more of to shield her and for her to be able to be present for her 10-year-old daughter. It would suck if you bring your baby in there and, bring up these feelings of sadness to her and that she can't even be present for her 10-year-old. That's not fair either. So stay your ass home with your baby. You don't want the baby being around all these nasty ass, snotty little kids anyway, so your baby can get sick, and keep it moving. Don't be an asshole. Okay? And now over to our last segment, and that is my favorite, shit talk. Okay, so you guys know that I'm not that into music. I love music, but I'm not into like all the new stuff that's out, if that makes any sense. But I've taken a liking to, kind of like others, to Megan Thee Stallion. Her music's cool. I don't know much of it. When it comes on the radio, I sit there and bop to it. But I've been following her on social media and what she allows us to see and who she's portraying to be, I should say. She seemed like a dope-ass chick. She's smart, ambitious, funny, relatable, beautiful. Her body is insane. And damn, I sound like I have a fucking crush on her. I promise y'all I'm not gay. She's dope. If you follow her and you see, how she acts or whatever, her interviews, she's dope. Well, she was dating last Moneybagg Yo, and the only reason I know about him is because my ex was a huge fan of him, and I took him to one of his shows here in Orlando when he was really nobody. Well, I'm not going to say nobody. He just wasn't mainstream. I don't know who the hell he was. His entourage literally had more people than the guests at the small venue. But anyway, I digress. From what is being said, she's no longer with him, and then this video came up of her with Wiz Khalifa. Sorry, Mandy. Y'all know Mandy love Wiz, and she tried to slide in his DMs, and I don't think she ever got a response. But anywho, the internet trolls have started talking about her and how she moved on so fast. Hold this, hold that. And I'm pissed. I am appalled. And I want to defend my friend, Megan. Meg, friend, I'm here for you to defend you. Listen, my dog is young. She's fine as fuck. She's smart. She's in college. Her career has taken off. She got money. She can give that stallion coochie to whoever she wants to. But let me mention that just because she's hanging out with a man does not mean that she's like having sex with them. But if she is, why y'all counting her cootie cat miles? Why? Listen, all my life, really, I've gone from relationship to relationship. I love my boyfriends, okay? I love to be in a relationship. We don't know the ins and outs of people's relationships. I know that with my last one, I was emotionally checked out way before I cut the cord. A man can move on and no one's going to say a word, but when a woman is out here happy as hell, showing all 32 teeth in a picture in a video and finds new love, y'all want to have a problem with it. I'm here to tell y'all can kiss her big old soft jiggly looking booty, let her live, and any other woman that decides that they are ready to move on to the next relationship. People are so damn quick to judge. I feel her. And I get it. Move on, baby. And y'all ladies listening to this, if you feel that you're ready to move on, do it. Find your next Prince Charming. Ride the wave and that as long as you're happy. Whew. Well, That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you for joining me yet again. Don't forget that you guys are the way that I grow this podcast every single week. If you're listening on your phone, share it on social media, tag me, let me know what your favorite part of the show was. Share the show with your friends. I love organic growth because if you enjoy it, so will your friends. Make sure you rate and review the podcast. I'm going to do go on iTunes, just rate it, give it 5 stars. Thank you. Write a review. Let me know what you think of it so that way people can find me also through there. I'm going to do a merch giveaway before the year is over, so be on the lookout for that. And again, if you're ready to start a podcast, join me tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, for the free webinar on how to launch your podcast in 30 days. This episode is over, but if you're a Patreon, you can have a bunch of other bonus episodes, and I'm actually going to leave you with a snippet of the last bonus episode. It was my bestie and I, Mandy. We decided to do an episode called Agree to Disagree. And we go through some topics that we actually have had to agree to disagree to keep our friendship going, because her and I literally agree on nothing. So stay tuned. And if you want to be a part of that, go to patreon.com/shit I'm 30. You will be supporting me, the podcast, and you get extra content. So here you go. So
Latasha,
I think
wait. Before we get into the argument, Latasha, thank you. Where are we at with the understanding of what's going on? Mandy 1, Carla 0. Thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
he's at 16, 17, and 18. Cool.
Yes.
And I believed from the podcast that he stopped at 18. It's like I from what I took from what he said.
Bitch, it's because she's still 18. He still accompanies her. She's not 19 yet. He said he accompanies his 18-year-old daughter. You okay?
Right.
Let's go.
We've got. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Let's go.
So I agreed with the fact that I don't have a problem with a father taking their daughter to the gynecologist. I said that I don't have a problem with him being overprotective. I would trade any day for my daughter's dad to be as protective as T.I. is over his daughter than the relationship that my daughter has right now with her father, my ex-husband. So I think, and I wrote on my post and I said, I am a teen mom. I didn't have those conversations with my daughter, with my parents about sex. And, the fact that I don't think that a child 14, 15, 16, 17 should be able to make a decision about sex, because once you have sex as a child, I don't think you're equipped mentally to know what the consequences are after that. You become a woman the second you have sex. And I remember when I had sex, I was sick right about before I turned 17, because I got pregnant right at 17.
So
I'm not done.
Go ahead.
So I raised my daughter. I am overprotective. I talked to her about sex. I said I will make sure that my daughter is a virgin as long as possible. And I want her to be. If she doesn't, we'll take care of it till then. But I don't have a problem. I think it was too far checking the hymen, because that is I think my hymen was probably broken at 9 or 10. I've ridden horses. I played ball. I did all these physical activities. So the hymen part doesn't really make sense. But checking for virginity, like being overprotective, I don't have a problem with it.
First off,
I don't.
Okay, my turn. First off,
how should you just go take her turn?
Virginity is not a real thing. Wait, calm down. I want to get into that first. Virginity and the checking of virginity and the attachment to the hymen is not real. It's been I
said that.
I let you talk. It's
but
a myth buster.
We agreed on that.
Okay, so let me finish. There is a difference between protecting and being more so, I don't know, having ownership over someone else. Secondly, I get it. That's your daughter. Secondly, my issue with this wholeheartedly is she sat here and said that at 14, 15, 16, 17, at whatever age a woman has sex, that now makes her a woman, because sex is the act of an adult. My problem is I am an advocate of you still being a child and not knowing certain things right from wrong, because we've had this conversation, and it's not fair that at 14, 15, 16 years old, when you're having sex with possibly someone who's older at the 19, 20, 21, 22 age, where we know that those are adults and they know what they're doing, as a child to say just because as a teenager you had sex that makes you an adult, I find that bullshit. And we had this whole argument regarding R. Kelly and what he was doing with these girls, and we called them children. So you can't sit here and say that just because now a teenager or an adolescent has had the act of sex, that now makes them a woman or an adult. Let me finish. So the fact that you're sitting here saying that you would, as a mother, treat your daughter as a woman or feel she has adult responsibilities just because she had sex,
110%.
to me, it shows your negligence in actually educating your daughter on sex, on behaviors and how she should behave with men, on what her body means to her. It's not a shameful thing to do, but it's more so of an educational aspect. So for you,
she doesn't need to have sex to be educated.
It doesn't matter. So I'm saying for you to have that conversation.
I have those conversations.
Yeah, but for you not to shame it, and for you to say,
I'm not shaming it.
For you to sit here and say that it's okay for a father or a mother to be in a room.
I will be in that room every single time.
Is my daughter still a virgin?
No, that's not what I said.
Based on that. We're talking about the TI situations, what I'm talking about. And to me, for you to sit there and ask for your child's records as an adolescent and regarding the hymen, which is what he was associating to virginity, despite the fact that the doctor said that there is no correlation, that to me is a problem. It shows more ownership. It shows shame that you're having sex. It shows that the conversations that need to be had surrounding sex in your daughter are not being had, because now she's afraid to have sex. Now she's afraid to tell you what's going on. Now she's afraid to have these conversations with her father as to if a boy touched her, if something happened inappropriately.